tools for their team from a pre-sales and a post-sales, giving them everything necessary to be successful. And we're gonna just give you a very brief overview of what's included in 8.0. And from a housekeeping perspective, could I just ask is that we'd like to address any questions, and if there are some questions that come up, please feel free to type those questions in, and Jim and the Portford team will certainly let us know, and we'll leave a few minutes at the tail end of the presentation to address any questions, okay? So as I was talking about, we're going to jump in and give you a very high-level overview, a few slides, take about 4 or 5 minutes, and really get to the demonstration is what you really came to see. I think many people are anxiously awaiting to see what has EMC done with ApplicationXtender 8.0 and soon to be 8.1 in the very near future, which is the first major release. So if we could, I'll jump right in. We're going to talk a little bit about, and what you'll see Mark hopefully try and hammer home is the new user interface, which has a much more intuitive UI, allowing all of your users to really seamlessly kind of go from screen to screen or really perform their daily functions. The other thing that's really impressive in that many of the customers have all expressed a need to use their own browsers. Well, we have browser independence now, whether it be Chrome, Safari, Firefox, or IE. You've got lots of opportunities there on what you want to use. The UI and everything you're going to see is really based on the new HTML5 viewer. And for the administrative functions, we've got a web-based admin interface, very intuitive. Got some great user-friendly panels for navigating from screen to screen, breadcrumbs and things that show the trail of how you got to certain functions in the application. Searching capabilities have also been expanded. So what really makes up this major change in 8.0? And Mark will talk briefly to this, but we won't dive in too deep into, you know, the technical nuances that are happening with 8.0. But what you're going to see is the new solution is essentially based on REST services, which is a programming language, allowing a lot more flexibility. The other thing that's impressive, any device capable and not requiring an SDK in order to use your tablets, smartphones, right, or laptop solutions. And one interesting piece of what's happened is that the capture capability on AX has certainly been expanded now, and we have a remote scanning capability. We're not going to have a lot of time today to go into this, but we'd certainly love to talk with you and the Portford team about what is Image Trust, right? It's a browser-based scanning capture application for remote scanning that really allowing you to use this at any area of your organization or any volumes depending upon what they're trying to accomplish. So with that being said, Jim, at that point, maybe what you can do is pass over rights for Mark.
Okay, I've passed the ball over to Mark, so Mark should be able to share his screen now.
Hello, this is Mark Hansen with MetaSource. I've been with the AX product line quite a while, actually, since the company was founded. OTG was founded back in late '92, so that dates myself. I'm old. Anyway, but still is just as excited and fascinated with AX and its partner community as I was in the early days. So hopefully you can see my desktop right now. So Joe, give me a checkpoint. Can you see my browser?
I cannot.
You cannot. All right, let me try WebEx again. Share.
Jim, how about you? Can you see his browser? There you go. You got a change coming up.
I see it.
Ah, wonderful. Okay, so what's basically happening here is I've browsed to a demo AX site on our MetaStore cloud. And for those that aren't aware, EMC's ApplicationXtender on-premise is what we're most familiar with. We, MetaSource, are EMC's cloud vendor for AX. So I'm simply going to demo the cloud variant of ApplicationXtender here. So one of the first things, get rid of that. One of the first things you'll see when you look at an AX on-prem system is you're presented with a dialog which lets you select the data source. You may be familiar with this if you have a multiple data source. The data source is the individual grouping of the user permissions along with the applications or data silos and the app definition. So given a data source. Now the new administrator is something brand new with AX8 is it has a web-based administration. So the IT configuration and an administration, the daily or weekly or monthly administration of the system is all performed now via the web. And that's a very large advancement from the old days of using AppGen and its utilities. So what I'm going to do is log into the administrator. And the first thing you'll see about AX itself and the AX administrator is it follows a very EMC-themed convention for layout. You've got your navigation panel on the left with your context to the selected item on the right. So from this vantage point, whether you're using the administration tool or the knowledge worker tool, the web search tool, it's got a very familiar feel. You get your breadcrumb list on the top along with your page title and the context. So as you navigate the panel on the left, or you navigate the context on the right, it's a very similar feel. Your layout doesn't change greatly from screen to screen. With that, you're only presented with the menus or the ribbon bars that have context of what you're working with. So you're no longer getting a large menu or a large toolbar in which half the items are grayed out or inert. You're only presented with the items that have context of what you're working with. So that's a nice new layout. So most EMC content management software follows this theme. AX is now a first-class citizen with that look and feel. So the good thing about this is you no longer have to be on a VPN into the corporate LAN network to administer your system. You can do this remotely. You obviously could put in the safeguards in place to prevent external access, but again, the ability is there. It's web-based administration, so this is a very large step forward. So everything from configuring your nodes within the system, like the web access server, to monitoring what's going on in the system, who's consuming the license pool, what are my locked documents, what are my running components. This, again, can all be monitored remotely through the web app. So that's a large leap forward. You do have the ability to log in and see the system as a global, or you can also, when you're using the administrator, only have context to a single data source. So for instance, in this case, I'm logging into this particular administrator, and I'm only going to see the context which is relative to that data source. So at this point, I'm only looking at the data source-centric configuration points. The IT-centric pieces have been extracted out based on login, and this is obviously controllable based on security rights. So that's a very slick feature. So you can, if you choose to delegate to your department level certain operations, you can do that. They won't see the IT portion of the system. They'll only see the context of the data source they're working within. So that's the new administrator. I didn't go deep on it, but I just wanted to show you the new look and feel. And then I'll talk a little bit about the technologies that were used to build the AX8.0 suite. All right, when you first go to the knowledge worker terminal, we'll log in to our data source. In this case, there's one data source. And then you're presented basically with your list of applications. Since my account happens to be an administrator level account, I'm seeing all the applications of the system, including the rubber stamps, forms, and other system level applications. But given that, I select an application, and the first thing I'm presented with is a list of saved queries. Now, given that, I can always generate my own ad hoc query by simply selecting it off the menu, asking for a new query or new cross-app query, entering my criteria, and then executing the query. You may be familiar with this. This is the standard AX result set. But one thing I want to point out at this point is I've been left-clicking. I haven't been right-clicking anything. This is touch-centric, left-click-centric. Nothing's hidden through context menus for the most part. So I want to touch a flyout menu, I left-click it. Select an item, again, I left-click it. So I can left double click or left single click. So if you're using a device like a tablet, which is touch-centric, it will work fine. So this version, as Joe pointed out, works on many different HTML5 browsers, and it's also been developed to be touch-centric. With that, the base AX administrative and knowledge worker screen, it's completely HTML and JavaScript based, which means 0 installed components. You're not running Java applets, you're not running ActiveX controls, which gives us that browser independence. And as you've seen, moving screen to screen, based on the design and the technology choices made, it's a very fast screen to screen and fast document to document. You'll notice here I have a PDF file, and I'm going to perform an annotation at this point. I'm going to draw a box. Okay, this is HTML5 node browser component. So I still have the ApplicationXtender annotation capability with images, with my PDF files, with text files in the system, but without that ActiveX footprint or that overhead of loading Java applets. So let's go ahead and view this document. I can go ahead and I can save it. So I'll save my annotation here. And then I can move to my next subpage. This particular PDF was stored as a single file with subpages. Again, you have the ability that you had in prior generations. AX8 was built off of the 64-bit 7.0 backend, that foundation that utilized the new modern full text engine, the new modern databases supported. 8.0 is that 64-bit technology in the back end with a brand new user interface and API layer. Joe pointed out it utilizes modern web APIs or RESTful services. So the UI is using a technology called AngularJS. This is an application which runs basically in the HTML5 browser. So the only communication after that initial load that occurs between your browser client and the server is that of data calls. Data is moving back and forth, not UI. So all the glue, all the resources, once they're fetched one time to the browser cache, they remain there. So as you move throughout the app, it only has to get new UI that it hasn't fetched prior or data, the data that comes back and forth. So that gives you that high-performance, snappy page-to-page transition. So it's very slick. With that, it opens the partners and the customers' IT teams to easy customization, if you so choose, to the AX application. You can change the style. As in this case, I want to point out the Metastore logo, which is replacing the EMC logo in the upper left. So branding is very easy to do. Along with that, if you need to remove a button or a function that you don't want to expose to your end community, that's fairly straightforward now. And with that, if you want to add your own button or a link to another ERP or CRM system within your application or your environment, that's also easy to do. So you have all of the power and functionality of the CM system that you're familiar with, along with these new capabilities from an IT perspective or deployment perspective. So EMC's really gone far with the AX application by taking the powerful AX backend and combining it with this new modern UI. So it's a very slick offering. Now, I've talked for a while. I've jumped between some screens. Let's actually go ahead and view where are we at? Here's another PDF mortgage document. Now, one of the things I want to point out, we're looking at the main page of the document. That's an image, a JPEG, and then we have the thumbnails which are being rendered. Again, this is all without client components. So as you can see, when I scroll to that area of the document, the thumbnails that came to view are being auto-rendered on the fly. So this is a slick system. So you still have your navigation from your toolbar, but without that Silverlight component needing to be downloaded. Very straightforward layout here. You've got your index pane on the right, which you can either have it come up by default or hidden by default. You've got your ability to annotate your document based on your permissions, along with the viewing, zooming, and rotation that you know and love. So I'm going to take a pause now. I haven't been looking at the panel. Joe, can you look at our Q&A panel to see if there are any questions that have been posed?
I do not see any questions. Jim, any questions from your side? I think it's clear, Mark. Go ahead.
Excellent. So, like I said, one of the new features I'm going to point out a second time is this powerful breadcrumb feature. At any point, I can quickly jump back to my results, to the query I executed to modify it or tweak it, to re-execute it, or I can go back to the root, which is the list of applications, to select another app, run another query. So the default mode, if I select an application that has no saved queries, then it's going to put me right into a new query search box, eliminating one of the steps or one of the clicks necessary to get to it. So at this point, I hope you can, well, no documents in that one. So I hope you can understand that you have the same power and capability with this new modern look and feel, this new performance. So this will perform well on a lot of different form factors. Now, I will say those of us that are still running around with 4-inch cell phones, once you hit the old 50 and above, you're going to need your reading glasses. But outside of that, on a mini or standard tablet format, on your standard desktops, HTML5 browser independent, AX has really gone to the next level here. So it's fairly slick. I get the same powerful features, and EMC is committed to not only supporting what we've done in the past, but moving forward. With 6.5 and 7.0, the product was localized to many different languages. 8.0 is English only currently, but with the 8.1 release, which is second half of this year, July they're releasing it, it'll bring back those language packs for those that have customers that want French, German, Spanish, and so on. That capability will be back in 8.1. So at this point, I'd like to take any questions or if there's any additional information you want to know about 8.0.
Don't see any questions at this time, Mark. You're doing a great job.
Well, I appreciate that, Joe. And I'll turn it back over to who wants it next.
Well, okay, this is James. Thanks, Mark. I went ahead and unmuted all the phones, so if there are any questions, the panel can just ask directly, and I'm sorry, the attendees can ask directly to any of the presenters. Any questions from the audience?
So there's no components at all on that? You don't need no ActiveX, no Java, no Silverlight, nothing?
That is correct. What I demoed was the core admin and the user interface. Now, during Joe's slide presentation, he referred to the Image Access Corporation's Image Trust add-in. Now, that is a Java add-in because it has to have local drivers for scanners and the local UI to drive your attached scanners. But if you're not using that third-party Image Trust add-in, yes, the answer is there is no client components. It's just an HTML5 browser requirement.
Yeah, I'm actually interested in that one too, but thank you.
Okay, Rich had another question about running on Chromebook. Will it run on a Chrome OS?
It will run, well, I'm not familiar with Chrome OS, but I am familiar with the Chrome browser. So I will go ahead and, actually, let me do that right now. I can actually show it running in Chrome if there's some interest. Let me share my desktop again. Oh, did I lose the ability to share my desktop?
You should not have. You should still have presenter.
Am I currently presenting and don't know it?
You are currently presenter.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay, then I have to push a button here, I think. Where is that?
Try it again.
Okay, I'm waiting.
There you go. Now we got it.
So I'm going to take the URL I'm currently in. I'm going to fire up Chrome, basically starting a new session. Now, it may complain after I log in. I'm starting a new browser, starting a new session, and I just took the URL. The URL it can be formulated. So let's say I wanted to go right into like a new query dialog or right into a certain application. I can do that by formulating the URL, just as an FYI. So what I'm going to do here is log in. And no. So I'm back. Notice I went right to the GME application because that's the URL I borrowed. So let's go to county. And the document. I'm going to double click or double tap this time. So this is the Chrome browser running on Windows. So assuming the Chromebook supports the Chrome browser, which I believe that would be, it does, you would have no issue running this on a Chromebook. You could
so that would be the same. That would be the same with Safari or in a Citrix environment, dump terminals.
Yes.
As long as the browser supported.
Yeah, Safari on the iPad supported. Safari on a Mac is supported. The variants of Mozilla or Firefox are supported. So generically, any modern HTML5 browser, but EMCs, they have to specify a list. So it's the Mozilla, Firefox, Safari, Chrome, and IE Edge, Microsoft Edge, which is the new native browser in Windows 10. These are all supported.
Okay, so the question from Rich is not really a Chrome browser, but a Chromebook, which you cannot install anything on. And because this is HTML5, because HTML5 works as a presentation layer inside the Chrome browser, I'm assuming that it'll work on a Chromebook as long as the Chrome browser is there. There's nothing needs to be installed. Is that correct?
That's correct. Actually, you could go to the URL I'm using and go ahead and go to the HTTPS / demoax8.metasource.com. And basically, I'm going to highlight the portion of the URL you need, the minimum you have to type, which is that. So the demoax8.metasource.com /AppExtender/datasources/AppExtender demo. Do at least that piece. And you should go to basically the root of the site. And I'm not sure if we have guest configured. I'm not sure if that's still there, but let me try that. There you go. Yes, and then when it asks you to log in, type in guest, password guest on your Chromebook, and that you can evaluate that for yourself.
Perfect. Perfect. Does that answer your question, Rich? Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay. Well, I would like to thank everyone for attending, and I'd like to thank Joe and Mark for joining me and presenting this the information on AX8 and what's new. And if you have any questions, feel free to write to me directly at james.saavedra@portfordsolutions.com. It's in the invitation. I'll be calling you individually anyway, just so we can go over what you saw, and I could get any questions from you at that time as well. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the WebEx now. I hope everybody had a great day and they got something out of what they saw today. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Mark.